InfoPath migration gets expensive the moment every form becomes a Power Apps project. InfoPath retirement is not a one-tool replacement problem. It is a form portfolio decision. InfoPath retirement creates a specific type of panic in IT departments. You have hundreds of business-critical forms that need new platforms, compliance requirements that cannot break, and a hard deadline with no extension option. The natural response is to find the most powerful replacement tool and rebuild everything there. The mistake usually starts with a reasonable assumption. Power Apps is powerful enough to rebuild complex InfoPath functionality, so it becomes the default replacement for everything. That logic feels efficient at first. One platform, one licensing path, one training model, and one migration strategy. But InfoPath was not doing one kind of work. InfoPath was actually doing the work of 3 different tools in your environment. Simple data collection forms that just capture contact information or basic requests. Complex conditional forms with branching logic, calculations, and multi-step approvals. Workflow automation that routes documents through approval chains and updates back-end systems. Each type requires different technical approaches, different development effort, and different ongoing maintenance. When you try to rebuild a simple expense report form in Power Apps, you're creating a custom application for what should be basic data collection. When you try to handle complex procurement workflows through Microsoft Forms, you hit feature limitations immediately. The scope creep starts during detailed requirements gathering. Forms that look simple in InfoPath reveal dependencies on SharePoint libraries, email notifications, and integration with line of business systems. Your development team discovers that rebuilding a 5-field contact form in Power Apps requires Canvas app development, connector configuration, and custom workflow logic. What should have been a 2-hour migration becomes a 2-week development project. The budget impact multiplies across your form inventory. If you have 200 InfoPath forms and 80 of them are simple data collection, you just turned 80 quick migrations into 80 custom development projects. Your Power Apps licensing costs scale with complexity you do not need. Your development timeline extends beyond the retirement deadline. The compliance risk emerges during testing. Regulated industries cannot afford migration failures that disrupt audit trails or break data retention requirements. When you rebuild simple forms as complex applications, you create new failure points that did not exist in the original implementation. Your validation testing has to cover custom application logic instead of standard platform functionality. The real issue is that InfoPath retirement is not a like-for-like replacement problem. It is a form portfolio rationalization that requires matching each form to the right platform based on actual complexity requirements. Here's the framework that prevents migration failures. First, conduct form complexity assessment before selecting any replacement tools. Catalog every InfoPath form currently in production. Document the actual functionality each form provides, not just what it looks like. Simple data collection forms that capture information and route it to SharePoint or email. Complex forms with conditional sections, calculations, data validation, or integration requirements. Workflow-heavy forms that primarily manage approval processes or document routing. Second, map each complexity category to the appropriate Microsoft platform. Microsoft Forms handles simple data collection efficiently and requires minimal development effort. Power Apps manages complex conditional logic and custom business requirements. Power Automate automates approval workflows and system integration. This mapping prevents over-engineering simple forms and underpowering complex requirements. Third, prioritize migration based on business criticality and complexity alignment. Start with simple forms that map clearly to Microsoft Forms. These quick wins demonstrate progress and free up development resources for complex migrations. Move to Power Apps forms that require custom logic but have clear requirements. Save workflow-heavy forms for last because they often require the most integration work. Fourth, establish different migration methodologies for each platform category. Microsoft Forms migrations can often be completed in bulk with standardized templates. Power Apps migrations require individual assessment and custom development. Power Automate implementations need workflow mapping and approval chain validation. Using the same migration approach for all 3 categories creates bottlenecks and quality issues. Fifth, validate compliance requirements at the platform level, not the form level. Ensure that Microsoft Forms meets your data retention and audit requirements once, then apply that validation to all simple forms. Configure Power Apps compliance controls as a template that applies across complex forms. This prevents repetitive compliance validation for every individual migration. The implementation sequence starts with a pilot group of simple forms to validate your Microsoft Forms configuration and migration process. This establishes your template and identifies any organizational change management requirements. Then, batch migrate your simple forms while your development team begins custom Power Apps work for complex forms. Complete workflow automation as the final phase because it often depends on the other platforms being operational. Most organizations underestimate the assessment phase and overestimate the development complexity. The assessment work prevents scope creep and budget overruns. The platform-specific approach prevents over-engineering and reduces licensing costs. After 30 years of integrating Microsoft systems for mid to large enterprises in regulated industries, we build InfoPath migration strategies that match form complexity to platform capabilities, instead of forcing everything into one tool. If you're managing InfoPath retirement without a completed form complexity assessment, the risk is not just choosing the wrong tool. It is turning a migration project into a portfolio-wide rebuild. The full article is worth reading before the replacement path is set. It explains how to assess form complexity and decide whether each form belongs in Microsoft Forms, Power Apps, Power Automate, or a more custom approach. The organizations that succeed treat InfoPath retirement as portfolio optimization, not platform replacement.